and good morning. We are going to have a little fun today and we're going to learn some poetry, different things of poetry. Now, I have no idea how you feel about poetry, but I know that most people either love it or hate it. I don't think I've ever met anybody that said, "Oh, well, it's all right." Most people love it or hate it. I love poetry. Some of my kids do not like poetry, so I'm not sure if you like poetry. But we're going to work on it today. And actually today we're going to work on something called, let me type it right down here at the bottom. It's called a limerick. A limerick is a poem with 5 lines. And usually lines, well not usually, but always, lines 1 and 2, the last word on line 1 and line 2 and line 5 rhyme. And then lines 3 and 4 will rhyme. Now, the rhythm of a limerick, you will recognize it. It goes something like this. The rhythm of one, when you read it, you can't help but do it. It goes something like this. Da 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 da. 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 Da 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 da. That's kind of how a limerick goes. Every time people read it, they just automatically use that kind of that tune as they read a limerick, which we're going to do here in just a second. Now, generally, lines 1 and 2 and 5 that rhyme have 3 strong beats. Like you say those a little bit, with stronger influence. And then lines 3 and 4 that rhyme have 2 strong beats each. In other words, they're a little bit shorter lines. The weaker beats vary in number. But anyway, so you'll just notice that a limerick has a special kind of rhythm to it. And you'll just automatically do that. Okay, so here's some words that we're going to run across today right here. Don't worry about this one right here. All right, so this one, the mountain erupted, spewing ash and lava. You know what the word erupted means, right? It just went kapoof, it blew up. The volcano will erupt. What about the soldiers fired their guns when they encountered the enemy? What does encountered mean? Like ran into. We had a chance meeting. Remember we talked about encounters yesterday when Kit Carson encountered those grizzly bears. Like a cat, the puma snarled and leaped from its perch on the rock. What's a puma? It's like a mountain lion kind of. I think mountain lion, puma, and cougar are all pretty much the same things. So anyway, these are some words that we're going to run across today in the little things that we're reading. Now, before we begin, I want to show you some pictures. Now, we're going to talk about this place right here. You pronounce this Pompeii. Okay, you may have heard of Pompeii before. Now, Pompeii is in the country of Italy. It's still there. Okay. Now, Pompeii was near it was near the volcano Mount Vesuvius, is how you say that, Mount Vesuvius. And Pompeii was a city very close to this Mount Vesuvius. Now, what happens when a volcano erupts? It explodes and ash and lava go everywhere. Do you know what happened to the city of Pompeii? It was covered by lava and ruined. So that's the first poem that we're going to read. The second one we're going to read is about a place called Yuma, Arizona. It's in the desert of Arizona. Now it's located on the Colorado River. And if you were a miner in Yuma near the Colorado River, what do you think you might be looking for? Gold. Let's look at some pictures of Pompeii. Now this mountain back here in the back would be Mount Vesuvius. And you see all this right here? It doesn't look like current day, does it? Well, some of this here does, but a lot of these are ruins from the city of Pompeii. When that exploded, ash went miles high and came down and actually covered people where they were. Here's some people walking through the ruins of this beautiful city of Pompeii. Now you see these? These are casts when they dug up the city, because they had to dig it. It was underground. And when they found it, they dug it up. And they did not find bodies because the bodies were gone, but they found the places where the bodies were, and they were perfectly the same way they were when the person died. And so they molded those places. Like I said, the people were gone. Their bodies were gone. But where they lay was the outline of their body. It was in 3D. And so they just had to pour in a mold, and then when they cut out everything from around it, it showed the people. Here's a street in Pompeii. Kind of eerie looking with Mount Vesuvius back there, isn't it? Just think, this walkway, sidewalk, and street, this was busy a long time ago. But now it's just nothing but pretty much a ghost town. The whole city was completely covered. There's another cast of a person. Part of the city. Pretty cool pictures, aren't they? It would have been a beautiful city, I think. Let's look at some pictures of Yuma. Now here's a map of Arizona. Now this right here would be Texas. New Mexico. And then beside New Mexico would be Texas. So this is Arizona, and over here would be California. So this, and this is Nevada, this is California. Yuma is right there. Let's look and see what the town looks like. Pretty little town. Just out in the desert. Big mountains around it. Old-timey place right there, looks like. There's some people living there. Downtown Yuma. Another map of Yuma. There's the city hall, where they do some of their city government things. There's a picture of way up high of Yuma. Something overlooking something there. I've never been to Yuma, so I've never seen these pictures. Here's another map. It's getting to be nighttime there. There's you some Buffalo Wild Wings in Yuma. Now that's a pretty picture, huh? The desert. This I guess maybe this is looking out. This is Yuma maybe over here. I'm not sure. That's beautiful. Ooh, didn't God make a beautiful place? All right, let me change screens. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at in our book on page 78 and 79. They're just two limericks that we're going to be reading. Now the first one, there's a funny looking man there. Do you see that volcano in the back? It's erupting. Now this is a limerick, like I said, and this is a limerick about when Pompeii was covered in ash when Mount Vesuvius erupted. And this little man is standing there, so he's kind of looking a little bit worried as he sees that happening in the background. All right, so let's look at the poem before I read it. So let's look at line 1. The last word in line 1 is Pompeii. What's the last word in line 2? Day. And the last word in line 5 is say. So 1, 2, and 5 rhyme. Look at line 3 when the mountain erupted. Okay? And then look at the last word in line 3 and line 4. Erupted and interrupted. They rhyme, right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read this like you're supposed to read a limerick, okay? Are you ready? Now, the title is, There Was an Old Man from Pompeii. There was an old man from Pompeii who gave talks on volcanoes each day. When the mountain erupted, he got interrupted and forgot what he wanted to say. All right, so what was the old man from Pompeii knowledgeable about? He knew about volcanoes. What happened when it erupted? He got interrupted and forgot what he was going to say, right? What makes that poem funny? It's kind of what we would call ironic. He's an expert on volcanoes, giving a speech about volcanoes when one behind him erupts. So it's just kind of a funny little thing. Now, a lot of times, most of the time, limericks are funny. and they're just simply, the purpose of them are just for humor, just to entertain you. Sometimes they make a point. They can still be funny and make a point as well. But this one is just humorous. It's just kind of silly. So I would like for you to read it, kind of like I did. Are you ready? Go. Did you read it? Do you get the rhythm to it? You see the rhythm to that? Look at the next one on the other page. All right. Now, I'm going to read this limerick, and I want you to listen not only for the rhythm, but listen for which words rhyme also. Ready? It's called There Was a Young Miner in Yuma. There was a young miner in Yuma who once encountered a puma, and later they found just a spot on the ground and a puma in very good humor. There's a word in there that's made up. The word humor is not really a word, but they had to have something to rhyme with Yuma, puma, and so that instead of saying the word humor, which means funny, they used humor, so that it would kind of sound what we would call slang. Oh, it's just some humor, just some funny humor. So they used humor to rhyme with Yuma and puma. And then lines 3 and 4, found and ground, they rhyme. And did you get the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun? It has the rhythm to it, okay? Now, I want you to say that poem like I did. Ready? Go. Did you read it? So these two limericks are funny, they're light-hearted, they're fun. There you go. All right, so I'm going to put something on the screen, and you can just get a sheet of paper out, and you can put what you're going to have to put on just a sheet of paper, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and get it on the screen. All right, let's look here. This says a limerick is a poem with 5 lines. Lines 1, 2, and 5 rhyme, and lines 3 and 4 rhyme. So this gives us a limerick, part of a limerick, and then we need to finish it. That's going to be your assignment, is to finish it, and then you can illustrate it by drawing a picture. Now, some people like to draw and some don't. I don't like to draw. If you like to draw, then you can do this. You do not have to illustrate it unless you just want to. Here we go. So there was a bright girl from, and you'll put something here, who could never remember her, and whatever you put here must rhyme with this right here. They have to rhyme because this is line 1 and line 2. So she bought a computer and hired a tutor. So this is line 3 and 4, and they already wrote the words there that rhyme. Okay, now you have to finish the last line, the whole line. Remember, the last word has to rhyme with these here. Okay, so let me see if I can give you some ideas right quick. Let's see. You could, well, I don't want to give you any ideas because then that wouldn't be yours. So I'm going to let you do this yourself. I'm not going to give you a grade on it though. I just want to see what you come up with, okay? So be something here, here, and then the whole line here. Remember, it can be silly and funny, and sometimes in order to make a word rhyme, you can actually change a real word up just a little bit. Remember how they did humor? They changed it to humor so it would rhyme. You can also do that, okay? You don't want the whole thing to be made up, maybe 1 or maybe 2 words. All right? All right, well, I'm going to leave it on the screen for just a second while you pause it and see if you can finish it.